今天您将收看的是
第21届中国上海国际艺术节期间，小提琴家平夏斯·祖克曼携手阿德莱德交响乐团，在上海交响乐团音乐厅为乐迷们带来了视听盛宴。
大家好，观众朋友们，您现在看到的是今晚我们听音乐。在第21届上海国际艺术节期间，当今世界10大小提琴家之一的平夏斯·祖克曼和阿德莱德交响乐团在上海交响乐团音乐厅举行了音乐会，给我们带来了莫扎特、贝多芬等经典曲目。在今天的节目当中，我们就一起回顾一场视听盛宴。
第21届中国上海国际艺术节期间，艺术大师云集沪上，小提琴家平夏斯·祖克曼携手阿德莱德交响乐团，在上海交响乐团音乐厅为乐迷们带来了视听盛宴。此次音乐会的曲目包括莫扎特第5小提琴协奏曲、贝多芬艾格蒙特序曲和埃尔加谜语变奏曲，这些都是当今世界古典乐坛的经典曲目。
The performance style of this orchestra is very, very special. The players are very passionate. It's a very, very hard-working orchestra, and they bring great dynamism, energy, and care to their music making. So also in the program, there is Beethoven's Egmont Overture, which is a dramatic, very turbulent piece. And then Pinkas plays Mozart's sublime 5th violin concerto, the Turkish, which, I mean, again, it's an absolute pleasure to hear him play this piece. It's a piece he's been associated with for many years, and to have him work with particularly with our string players on this music is very important, and it's very it really develops the sound of the orchestra. It cares a lot about the music. It works very hard. There are areas of the repertoire which the orchestra has worked in more than others, and the music that we are playing tonight, which includes Elgar's Enigma Variations, is a piece that I think is probably quite close to their hearts, because it is a British piece of music by Edward Elgar, because of Australian connections with the UK, and I feel that there is a connection with that piece for the players. So they play it beautifully, and it is a piece that Pinkas Zuckerman has conducted many times with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in London, and it's a pleasure to have him playing it with our orchestra.
These are all great pieces of art. You have to find what the meaning of the things are. To be a little philosophical, you have to know music, but then you have to find the inner meanings of harmony and how it progresses, and the architecture. There's tremendous architecture is very important in music, like it is in building and anything. Yeah.
澳大利亚阿德莱德交响乐团成立于1936年，诞生之初是一个10余人的广播乐团。 如今，它已成为南澳大利亚文化和艺术的标杆，每年在不同的音乐平台上举办100多场音乐会。阿德莱德交响乐团还为南澳大利亚国家歌剧院提供管弦乐支持，并为澳大利亚芭蕾舞团和澳大利亚歌剧院提供表演，也是阿德莱德艺术节的主要演出者之一。
The Adelaide Symphony Orchestra was first formed in 1936 as a very small ensemble of only 18 musicians and played for radio and recorded many broadcasts for radio. But over the years, the orchestra grew in size and became part of the Public Broadcasting Corporation. About 20 years ago, the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra became separated from the public broadcaster and now stands at its own 2 feet. We have 75 full-time musicians. We give about 100 concerts a year, mostly in the Adelaide Town Hall, in the Adelaide Festival Theatre. And we have as you've mentioned, a reputation for a wide-ranging repertoire, and we have relationships with very special conductors, including Pinkas Zukerman. We've had a special relationship with Maestro Pinkas Zukerman now for about 6 years. He is currently our Artist in Association, and from next year that title changes to Principal Artistic Partner. He appears with us about 4 weeks a year in a lot of different repertoire, both as a violin soloist, of course he's one of the great violinists of the world of the 20th century, and as conductor. And so tonight we're very pleased to be able to bring to Shanghai repertoire that's very close to his heart.
平夏斯·祖克曼是当今世界10大小提琴家中最年轻的一位，以色列著名小提琴教育家加拉米安的学生，曾荣获21次格莱美提名，并2度获奖，更是与祖宾梅塔、巴伦博伊姆、帕尔曼等人齐名的音乐大师。祖克曼20岁就在乐坛崭露头角，随即以极快的速度走红。无论独奏、协奏还是室内乐演奏，他的音乐表现都极为突出，有很好的控制力和分寸感，既不夸张卖弄，也不过分热情。他在小提琴高音弦上的演奏极富穿透力，而在低音弦上的演奏则充满了甜美和荡气回肠。在与阿德莱德交响乐团合作的音乐会中，祖克曼不仅担任小提琴独奏，还兼具指挥的重任。
Pinkas Zukerman is a legend. Pinkas is one of the most profound, special musicians that walks on the planet today. His violin playing is legendary and has this great connection with the past. The tradition of his violin playing is very, very special. So the orchestra has been working with Pinkas Zukerman for 3 or 4 years in a closer relationship. He is our artist in association. But prior to that, he came and played the Beethoven Violin Concerto with the orchestra back in 2012-13, I think, and the Brahms Double Concerto some years before that. So he's had quite a long, close relationship with the orchestra that we're continuing to grow.
I think that by learning scores and by playing the music of the scores as well as conducting the scores, chamber music as well as conducting makes everything better. You get more knowledge, you hear better, but all of it takes time. It doesn't happen in 1 week or in 1 year. It's a process of learning and listening. When you play music, you have to listen. To play is one thing, but you have to really listen.
除了以小提琴绝获乐迷的心房，祖克曼也是一位出色的中提琴演奏家。他与师兄帕尔曼的小提琴、中提琴二重奏《帕萨卡利亚舞曲》一直被奉为乐坛经典。两人超过半世纪的友情也被人们津津乐道。祖克曼同时也是杰出的指挥家、教育家。他建议小提琴演奏家都可以尝试演奏中提琴，反之亦然。从中的收获唯有体验过之后才知其美妙。
When you play violin, you play essentially, let's say, melody. Sometimes you play harmony as well, of course. But when you play the viola, you're already in the middle of music, in the middle of the harmony. It adds a whole new dimension of color. And I think physically, the instrument is good for violinists to learn how to do. And some actually play the viola better than they play the violin.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's physical. Okay. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes they have some kind of a connection to that particular sound. It's the sound, the string is a little thicker. You have to draw the bow a little bit slower. Intonation is a little easier because it's a little bigger. On the violin, it's a little constricting sometimes. It shouldn't be, but it is. On the viola, it's a lot more. So that's all good. I know viola players that played viola a lot, but they played violin first, let's say. Very few only play viola. Most of them start with the violin and then they go to the viola, but sometimes they go back just to practice on the violin. Maybe once a month or once every 2 months. It helps the muscular dexterity here when you're playing on the violin. On the viola, it's a little more relaxed, but it's relaxed in the proper manner. It's all good. Oh, for the music, is for sure. Music is very important to be able to play in different parts. I mean, I've played many times in the orchestra. At school, I played in the orchestra, of course, but as I got to play more and more, I would sit in the back of the Berlin Philharmonic and play a piece that's traditional, like the 7th Symphony of Beethoven, A major symphony, to play in the back of the second violins, that piece with that orchestra. It's unbelievable. It's indescribable how you learn what the music is really about.
接下来您将收看的是
2016年，阿德莱德交响乐团成立了首个艺术指导团。随后的几年里，乐团的艺术指导团不断发展壮大。2016年，阿德莱德交响乐团成立了首个艺术指导团。成员包括首席客座指挥兼艺术顾问杰弗里·泰特爵士，乐团自己的首席指挥尼古拉斯·卡特，以及小提琴家祖克曼。随后的几年里，乐团的艺术指导团不断发展壮大，并对乐团的演奏情况进行全方面的指导和建议，为乐团演奏实力的提升添砖加瓦。
In 2016, we decided to take a different path with our artistic leadership team, and rather than have a single music director, we had an ensemble of 3 people in our artistic leadership team. Pinkas Zuckerman was one member of that team, and it's been very special because each of the three conductors, Nicholas Carter, a young Australian conductor, Mr. Geoffrey Tate, Maestro Geoffrey Tate, who unfortunately passed away in 2017, and replaced by Mark Wigglesworth, a very well-known British conductor. And Pincus all had very different expertise and very different specialities, and so they complement one another, and we have a really powerful working relationship with all three. Our artistic leadership team provides a lot of advice to the orchestra. In addition to programming advice, they also give us information about the nature of the sound that the orchestra makes. We work a lot on the quality of the performances, the standards, and generally just check the artistic health of the ASO. International touring is a very special opportunity for any orchestra, including the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. In our case, we rarely get the opportunity to perform a program more than 2 or 3 times. When we're on tour, we will in fact do it 8 times over the course of the tour, and when we get back to Adelaide. So it means that we have a chance to work in a very detailed and close way with the repertoire, really refine it, and the musicians get to listen very carefully to timbre and dynamics and ensemble. So it improves the artistic quality of the orchestra. It helps us get to know repertoire better, and it also helps to strengthen our relationship with Maestro Zuckerman. Maestro Zuckerman is, of course, a legendary violinist and also a very, very experienced conductor. It's really wonderful to watch the orchestra work with him on repertoire that he knows very well.
中国的古典音乐不断蓬勃兴起，郎朗、王羽佳、张浩辰等优秀的中国青年钢琴演奏家，皆为各大交响乐团争相邀请的宠儿。目前在中国，仅仅是学习钢琴的儿童就有4000万到6000万人左右。越来越多的音乐学院在中国相继成立，培养了大量古典乐演奏人才。中国古典乐市场的巨大吸引力，使得世界名团纷至沓来，一场场精彩绝伦的高水准演出，令乐迷们大饱耳福。
Well, it's amazing that so many people play. I'm not sure right now that the teaching is as good as it can be. I'm hoping that in the future, Chinese students of mine come back. Some have to live, back to live at home. Some periodically come over. Because you really need to show the inner aspects of how it works. Right now, I'm not sure it's doing the right thing, but it's wonderful that so many people are playing. I don't like the idea that everybody plays the same thing. 1,000 kids play from 8 to 9. That's it. You need more variety. You need a little more individuality. I hope that will get easier in time. But the fact that so many people are playing is great. They need to, they need to listen to a lot of music, and music that is played well, not only on CDs or videos, but actually live performances.
Classical music has undergone an extraordinary growth pattern in the last couple of decades. I certainly visited I visited China for the very first time in 1994. So I've been coming to this country regularly for 25 years, and it's been amazing for me to see the growth in the demand and the appetite and interest in orchestral music and classical music more generally. And certainly the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, together with lots of ensembles from all around the world, look to China with great excitement about the growing interest in classical music. We are really thrilled to be here at the China Shanghai International Arts Festival. It is now one of the great arts festivals of the world. A very impressive program of wonderful artists across many different art forms. I'm only sorry that we can't be here longer to take part in more of it, but certainly it's a great honour for us to be here. Certainly one of the things that the ASO is most interested in is the opportunity to make people-to-people connections and to start relationships with our colleagues in China. Certainly Shanghai is a very important cultural centre of the world with a long established history that goes back millennia in fact. We would like to cultivate relationships more closely with our colleagues here.
好，以上就是今天节目的全部内容，非常感谢各位的收看，让我们下一次再见。
下期您将收看的是，
在第21届上海国际艺术节期间，上海沪剧院推出了红色戏剧，推崇光彩夺目的英雄形象。我们一起了解这部戏剧的台前幕后。